2, 3. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Hollywood on a sunshiny day. We're going to honor Luther Vandross today, right? And thank you for all coming out today. It's going to be a lot of fun, a little warm, but you know, better warm than too cold, right? And we're going to have fun. We're just checking out the sound system now for the press. And you know, this is a great location that we've selected. Oh. That's a bass. Give me a bass. Okay. So as I said, this is a great location right here in the shadow of Capitol Records, across from the Avalon. Great music venues. Capitol Records, as we know, was a great place where a lot of major stars are recorded, from the Beatles to Dean Martin to Tony Bennett, Nat King Cole. A lot of greats recorded there, and of course the Avalon was one of the oldest music venues in Hollywood. Just a few little tidbits for you. It was originally called the Hollywood Playhouse, and it was built 1927. Other names, it was the El Capitan and the Palace, and a lot of great performers performed there as well, including Lawrence Welk. And in fact, the first nationally televised telethon occurred right here at the Avalon, and it was for the Olympics back in the 1950s. So a lot of history here, and we're going to make some history today as we honor Luther Vandross. All right? How are we doing on the sound? It's like we're getting there. Okay, well, we're going to be back. We're going to try to start as close to 11:30 as we can, so you can get out of the sun. And thank you for coming, and cheer loud, okay? All right, thank you. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this morning's festivities. I know it's warm, but you can do better than that. Welcome to today's Walk of Fame ceremony. Welcome. I'm LaRon Gubler, President and CEO of the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, which is presenting today's ceremony, along with the Hollywood Historic Trust. Today we are honoring a man whose amazing voice will be remembered through the ages, as he is honored with the 2,527th star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Today, Hollywood honors the late performer Luther Vandross. Now, Luther's unparalleled voice and forever romantic tunes such as Never Too Much, Power of Love, Here and Now, House is Not a Home, So Amazing, and Dance with My Father are known the world over. So today we're going to honor him in his memory. Luther was born in Manhattan. He was the fourth child and second son to Mary Ida Vandross and Luther Vandross Sr. And if you hear something you like, feel free to cheer. He spent his early years living on the Lower East Side. His mother saw to it that he began piano lessons when he was only 3 years old. And Luther once stated, "Her influence was incredible. My brother would get a bicycle for Christmas, and I would get an Aretha Franklin album." And in fact, speaking of Aretha Franklin, if you'll notice, down here off the stage to my left is a beautiful bouquet of roses that Aretha Franklin sent today. And let me share you the note that she sent with these roses. It says here, "With the greatest respect for a star of stars and an old friend with $1 million voice and laugh, my best to the Vandross family, Aretha." Now, inspired by hearing Dionne Warwick for the first time at the Brooklyn Fox Theater, Luther began writing original songs and started his own vocal group during high school. And in fact, they appeared in a lot of local talent shows. He went on to attend Western Michigan University. Anybody here from Michigan? All right, a few. Before continuing to pursue a career in music. Already a formidable vocalist and a skilled vocal arranger, Luther landed work as a backing singer at top recording sessions. A milestone in his career came in 1974 when childhood friend guitarist Carlos Alomar invited Luther to Philadelphia to watch a David Bowie session for which Carlos was playing. Bowie overheard Luther singing and asked him to go on mic and record it. Luther's creation became the famed chorus of Bowie's hit, Young Americans. And liking what he heard, Bowie brought Luther into the fold to do vocal arrangements and to take charge of his touring vocalists. In 1981, his debut solo album, Never Too Much, was released. And it quickly became a hit. For 25 years, from 1981 to 2005, Luther dominated the American R&B music charts like no other artist before or since in that span. He released, and this deserves a lot of cheers, he released 8 #1 R&B albums, 7 #1 R&B singles, and another 5 top 20 R&B singles. From 1981 to 1996, Luther released an unprecedented 11 consecutive platinum or double platinum albums. And that was on CBS Sony Music's Epic Records label. At the time of his passing in 2005, 13 of Luther's 14 studio albums had either gone platinum or multi-platinum. What a record! Overall, Luther received 31 Grammy Award nominations, winning 8 times. That deserves more applause than that. All right. Additionally, he won 8 American Music Awards, including Favorite Soul and R&B Male Artist 7 times. And he was ranked number 54 on Rolling Stone magazine's list of 100 greatest singers of all time. Now, Luther died on July 1st of 2005 at the age of 54 following complications from a stroke 2 years earlier. He had been in entertainment for 35 years. Quite an accomplishment. If he were still here today, imagine. Luther Vandross was a musical master whose style has influenced an entire generation of today's vocalists. His distinctive brand of satin-smooth vocal music continues to touch people to this day. He was undeniably one of the most significant vocalists and performers of our time. And now, please help me welcome, in his honor, representing him today, Luther's niece, Savita Williams, and his longtime friend, Fonzie Thornton, to the stage, who will accept the award. All right, now you're going to hear from them. But before you get to hear from them, we have a few special guest speakers today. Our first speaker today is a 2-time Grammy winner and the composer-producer of 11 critically acclaimed and genre-defying albums. As a co-producer, arranger, and player, he was highly influential in the success of Luther Vandross, co-writing dozens of R&B pop million sellers with the beloved singer, including Never Too Much, Any Love, Till My Baby Comes Home, For You to Love, and the Grammy-winning Power of Love, Love Power. Please welcome Marcus Miller to the stage.
How's everybody doing? Good morning. So this is fantastic. I was in Roberta Flack's band. I was 19 years old and playing bass. And Luther Vandross was the background singer in the group. And that's where I got to really meet Luther Vandross. And at the time, I was a musician snob. And what I mean by that is we considered singers the people who stood in front of the band and entertained the audience while we did the real work, right? I'll admit it. And I made the mistake of telling Luther that. And Luther sat me down and began my education, right? He sat me down and played me Donny Hathaway records. He played me Dionne Warwick records, and then he spent about an hour and a half playing me Aretha Franklin records, right? And he taught me. And he said, listen to the vibrato, listen to the tone, listen to the falsetto. He broke it down. He broke down singing like we musicians used to break down playing instruments, because he was a musician and his instrument was the voice, right? So we're in Roberta Flack's band. I'm gonna tell you the story. We're in Roberta Flack's band, and Roberta had all these amazing duets with Donny Hathaway, right? And Donny had passed, and we're on the road, and Roberta's still doing those songs, and she's singing the duets with the amazing Peabo Bryson, right? And everything is fantastic. One day in St. Thomas in the West Indies, Peabo couldn't make the gig. And Roberta says to Luther, you're gonna have to sing these duets with us. And I'm standing there, I'm going, oh man, I hope my boy can handle it, you know? Because I'm not sure, those are some big shoes to fill, Donny Hathaway, Peabo Bryson. Anyway, Luther got up there, and he said, I knew it was real, the way you make me feel. And he did the Luther wind up. And those West Indian ladies lost their minds, okay? That's the first time any of us had heard it. But the reason I'm telling the story is because for me, the thing that was truly special about Luther, there was a lot of great singers, and a lot of great voices, but his concepts, his ideas are what made him different from everyone else. He had different ideas about what he was gonna do with his gift. He would sit at the piano when we were working on songs, and he says, I'm gonna sing it like this. Everyone expects me to sing it like that, but no, I'm gonna sing it like this. I'm gonna kill him, Marcus. I'm gonna kill him. And it wasn't egotistical. It was passionate. He truly believed in what he was doing. He was so confident about what he did. We did a demo for Luther early. We did Never Too Much. It was his first demo for him as an artist. And he had to take that demo around New York for a year trying to get a record deal. Because in those days, the big groups were like Lakeside, Earth, Wind & Fire, you know, bands with 14 dudes in the band, and you had to have like space boots on, right? And they said to Luther, what's your gimmick? And Luther said, my gimmick is that I can sing, right? And it took him a year before he convinced Larkin Arnold to sign him at Epic Records. And although it took him a long time to convince the record execs, when that record came out, it didn't take any time to convince the public. The record went to #1, and it was an amazing beginning. Amazing beginning. Another thing I want to mention is that we all know Luther's hero was Aretha Franklin. Let me tell you how much of a hero she was to him. Northridge earthquake. Luther's living in Los Angeles, okay? And the quake hits. Now, you all know, if an earthquake hits, your priorities get real clear, right? If you got kids, you grab your kids. Whatever it is that you value, you grab. What did Luther grab? Aretha Franklin LP. Luther grabbed Aretha live at the Fillmore, okay? So that should tell you how much music meant to him. An amazing individual, an amazing musician. I saw him sing in Philadelphia at Veterans Stadium. And it was one of those Bud Fests where the music starts at noon and it goes all the way to midnight. And people are hot during the day, and eventually Luther goes on after everyone is really done. And Luther went on there and sang House Is Not a Home. And we saw that place get so quiet that you could hear a pin drop. And after the show, I went to him and I said, Luther, how'd you get all these people to be quiet like that? It was incredible. He said, everybody could get them to shout, but can you get them to be quiet, right? Last thing I'll say is that a lot of musicians, they tend to take awards with a grain of salt. And what I mean is, you know, Grammys, stuff like that, they say, well, it's not really about the awards, it's about the music. Well, Luther wasn't like that. Luther loved him some awards. when it took him a long time to win those Grammys that you just heard mentioned. You know, he went a long time without winning one. And when he finally won one, we were in the studio, and the next day he walked in the studio and said, For the rest of today, you guys have to address me as Luther Grammy winner Vandross. And he actually tried to make us do that for the whole day. Anyway, I truly believe that this Hollywood Walk of Fame star would mean so much to him. I know he's here, so I just want to congratulate him, and I want to congratulate the family, and I want to say congratulations to all of us who had the honor and pleasure of working with Luther Vandross. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marcus. Let me acknowledge a couple of people who are with us today. We have Maureen Schultz, who's the chair of the Walk of Fame Selection Committee. She's from Capitol Records. Maureen. And we also want to acknowledge singer-songwriter Johnny Gill, who's with us today. All right. Well, our next speaker is one of the record industry's most innovative, outspoken, and influential executives. He has had a profound effect on the world of music. He has been responsible for the signing of many landmark artists in the music field, among them Blood, Sweat, and Tears, Chicago, Santana, Billy Joel, Bruce Springsteen, and more. He signed Luther to J Records in 2000, and Luther's final 2 Grammy-winning albums were released by that label. Please welcome Walk of Famer Clive Davis.
What a special day this is. Knowing Luther for the number of years I did, it's so bittersweet. He would have loved a day like this. I go back with him right after he broke with himself as a solo album. And by the way, he's the one that gave Whitney her first start as a background studio singer. And he was the one that said, you know, Sissy's daughter has a great voice. But I read this article, I think it was in Rolling Stone, where Luther was saying the 3 most important singers to him were Aretha Franklin, and I will tell Aretha about that story, about the Live at the Fillmore album during the earthquake. I'm doing an album currently with the great Queen of Soul. And he said the 3 most important singers to me are Aretha Franklin, Dionne Warwick, and Diana Ross. And so I approached him and I said, okay, I've got 2 of the 3. And we began work with him being both a songwriter and a producer. And he did that wonderful How Many Times Can We Say Goodbye album with Dionne Warwick. And then, you know, part of life for me as a record executive is just anointing those incredible legends to see how long their career can last. And so with Aretha, jump to it and get it right. Doctor's Orders, classic records that extended Aretha Franklin's legendary career. So we come to the year 2000. I am leaving Arista Records. I'm starting a brand new label, J Records, and Luther and I speak. We had dinner at the Four Seasons restaurant in New York, and we talked about joining together with Jay being his label. I only asked one thing, would he be open, in addition to the songwriting, because with peaks and valleys, the last album, which was on Virgin, didn't meet his expectation. So we got together, and we looked, and there was this great song that Warren Campbell and Harold Lilly wrote called Take You Out. And we did that first album together, and it's just a joy that this occasion is triggering the memory of that album going platinum, Luther being right on top again. And with the harder, you know, with really ratification of his unique standing. Every African-American male singer's favorite singer was clearly Luther Vandross, as well as those internationally. He was the role model. He was the absolute apex that you can go to. And then he said, you know, I'm going in the studio, I'm working real hard. We're talking now post-2001, and then early in 2003, he called me up and he said, I've got some songs to play you, and I think I'm finishing my album. And he came to my office, and you know when you hear that classic song, when you hear that song that lives on in memory, and he played me, which pulverized me, Dance with My Father. And from the moment I heard it, from the moment we both played it for other people, gathering more people around, that song showed, my God, an incredible songwriter, an incredible vocalist. And it was obviously tragically sad that Luther got his stroke before we could come out with the album. But we had a mission. And not only did that album go straight to #1, not only did it fulfill every expectation, because when Luther came in with it, he said, Clive, this is my new career song. This song, Dance with My Father, is my Grammy award-winning song. And so when the album went to #1, and as the Grammy nominations came out, I wanted to speak to you personally to tell you that when we learned that Luther had 5 Grammy nominations for this, I went to where he was in rehab. And I went over there. He understood everything I was saying. And I was saying to him, Luther, you've got to get better. I said, we've got to go to the Grammy Awards together. And he smiled and he said, and he did say, we will. And obviously, sadly, we never got a chance to go there together. But he did sing on tape at that Grammy Award ceremony. And so it was with heavy heart that after he passed away, that I prepared an album, a tribute album to Luther. It was not difficult to assemble because every major artist in the world, I want to tell you, wanted to be on that album to show on an occasion like this the profound effect, the profound impact that Luther Vandross had on his peers, all of the artists. So on this album, which is called So Amazing, an all-star tribute to Luther Vandross, there is Aretha Franklin, there is Stevie Wonder, Beyonce, Mary J. Blige, Alicia Keys, Usher, Elton John, Celine Dion, Babyface, John Legend, Jamie Foxx. This album got 5 Grammy nominations. Stevie and Beyonce's duet of So Amazing won the Grammy, the title track. And of course, Aretha Franklin won for her version of A House Is Not a Home. So let me conclude, because it says what I mean from the heart. My autobiography came out this past year, and I wrote in the Luther section, reviving legendary careers and extending career longevity does mean the world to me. And I know that Luther and I were just beginning what would have been an even longer and more successful run. He was truly a master. He was a singer's singer. And for me, he was a friend whom I miss dearly to this day. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Clive Davis. Now, our next speaker is one of the most influential producers in the history of popular music. He co-founded the band Chic, scored numerous smash smashes including Atlantic Records' only triple platinum selling single, "La Freak." He has produced, written, and or played on the albums "We Are Family," "Like a Virgin," "Let's Dance," "Diana," "Notorious," "Cosmic Thing," and this year was awarded 3 Grammy Awards for his work on Daft Punk's Random Access Memories and Song of the Year, "Get Lucky." Please welcome Nile Rodgers.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to talk very long because between Marcus and Clive, they pretty much have said everything. But I just want to say one thing about Luther and the power he had over me and what he showed me. When we did our very first record, which was called Chic, well, who was the guy who sang it? Back in the day, we used to have what we call contractors. We were arrangers. See, I was an instrumental. I wrote instrumentals. I didn't even think about the singing. I was like, I just wrote dun 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 da 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 da, and to me that was fly. And then when Luther came in, and I said, well, I have this lyric that goes, "Everybody dance, do 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 do, clap your hands." Luther basically came in and produced the vocals. He brought his team in, and I actually watched him. I was mesmerized. I was like going, and he was stopping people, and he said, no, only one person sings the S, and blah, blah, blah. And then he would start, we'd start the record at the end, right? We would sing the end. We'd sing the vamp first, and then we'd go back and do the beginning because that's where all the energy was. So after we got it down, I'm like sitting there studying him going, that's a record producer. That he's teaching me what I'm getting ready to do with Sister Sledge. And as a matter of fact, when I did Sister Sledge, of course, who did I call to arrange the vocals? Yo, Luther, what are you doing? Come on over here and sing "We Are Family," and he's the greatest dancer. So yeah, he really taught me that thing, the way that you use vocals with basically an instrumental producer. He taught me the technique of how to work with vocalists, how to arrange vocalists, and to this very day, every record I make is basically some variation on that Luther theme of that original session that we did when we first started Chic. And no, please give it up there. And another thing, when Marcus was talking about his spirit and things weren't egotistical and it was humility and all of that, Luther knew he can sing. We all knew that. It was pretty clear as a bell. We all knew that he was the best singer any of us had ever been around. But what was interesting is that when I recorded my first record, I was working for Luther. After I recorded my first record, he was working for me. And he was the best employee and the best boss I ever had. Thank you guys very much. I love Luther Vandross forever. And nobody deserves this more than him. Thank you.
Our final speaker is the council member who represents the Walk of Fame on the Los Angeles City Council. It's hard to believe, but this month will mark the 1-year anniversary of his election and service here in Hollywood. Please welcome the Honorable Mitch O'Farrell.
Good afternoon, everyone. So amazing to be loved, I'd follow you to the moon in the sky above. I just got to say to his wonderful family, to his wonderful friends, to his colleagues in the industry, to his support team that traveled the world with him to make people happy and spread happiness across the world, I think we all look to the sky and follow you to the moon, Luther Vandross. On behalf of the City of Los Angeles, my colleagues, Mayor Garcetti, City Council President Herb Wesson, we honor you today, this incredible legacy that you've left the entire world, and we bestow this to your family, friends, and colleagues in the memory of Luther Vandross.
Thank you, Councilman. Well, it's time to hear from Savita and Fonzie, but let me just first say that in memory of our great honorary mayor, Johnny Grant, we hereby declare this Luther Vandross Day in Hollywood.
Thank you for coming out and celebrating this awesome occasion with us. My family is overwhelmed, and we want to thank the Walk of Fame Academy for recognizing his musical talents. And the star will be here for many, many moons, for many, many people to come back. And when they see his name, they're going to remember why they love him. From a personal point of view, let me give you more reasons to love him because of the way he treated his family and friends. My uncle was the type of man that when my sister moved into an apartment complex, the word got out that he was there, and about 400 people showed up. He said to my sister, "Sweetie, you have to live with them, so I'm going to do this." And he went outside and signed autographs and took pictures with everybody. You can ask his cousin Brenda about the time he called her at 3 a.m. and said his car and driver had an incident and he needed her to pick him up from the airport. It was an April Fool's joke. Who does that, right? For his nephews, he was the type of man who showed up at their basketball games after it started and the gym doors closed, and he'd watch it through the gym door window so that the focus would never be taken off the boys as they played, and it would remain with them. He was egoless. And as for me, I have bad working habits because of that man. I can't tell you the number of times that my uncle called my job and said there was a family emergency and I needed to get out. And I'd go downstairs and get in the car and we'd go to a movie or to go Chanel shopping. I mean, hey, a girl's got to do what her uncle says. I mean, there are just so many little instances like that made him a loving man. He left us a good example of love, being sacrificial and selfless. And understand that he loved his fans just so much. That's why he's always said, "I'm not going to play with your ticket money." That's right. And that's why he did everything he could. But his family, we loved him because when Uncle Ronnie was around, you wanted to be around. Each and every one of our friends were allowed to call him Uncle Ronnie. He welcomed that. Not to mention that he would show up at our rehearsals because everybody danced and sang better when Luther came to town. So I would just like to say to my uncle, congratulations. This is awesome, man. Thank you all for coming out and sitting in the sun.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Fonzie. So I wrote mine out so I wouldn't miss anything. I'm going to make it quick, right? So it's so amazing to stand here today with Savita, her cousin Brenda Shields, and the Vandross family to receive this honor from my buddy Luther. His journey is an inspiration for any aspiring young person. It's the story of a talented kid from humble beginnings in the South Bronx with a unique vocal delivery and clear vision that made it to the top. Along the way, he deeply touched so many who heard him sing and taught those of us who worked with him how to endure in life and the music business. I was privileged to be his best friend for 40 plus years, meeting him at 14 years old before the world knew him, at his sister Ann's house, who lived across the street from me in the Johnson Projects in East Harlem, New York City. There I joined his first vocal group, the Shades of Jade. We wore green satin shirts and black pants and matching green patent leather shoes, which he chose. And amazingly, he convinced my strict mother to give me money for. We came in second on Amateur Night at the Apollo Theater, sang together on Sesame Street, and later I sang on every album he made and contracted the singers for him. We grew up like brothers, eating dinner at each other's homes. Walking through Harlem, harmonizing songs by The Temptations and Aretha sealed our friendship. We worshiped the backup vocals of Cissy Houston and the Sweet Inspirations. So when he got Cissy to sing on all his records with me, Tawatha, Philip, Brenda, Michelle, Paulette, Cindy, and Kevin, we were in heaven. Today, that influence and training has resulted in me singing and putting together Aretha's singers these last 6 years. He is someplace smiling his face off about that. So Luther loved to laugh and snap on you and enjoyed it when you got a good snap back on him. But it was time to get down to the music. Like James Brown sang, Papa don't take no mess. At 15 years old, he was so sure of himself, he didn't have a plan B. He was the first songwriter, vocal arranger I'd ever met, and I always knew that his silky, smooth, deeply soulful voice was destined to be on hit records and touched millions. After signing with Epic Records, he called me excitedly one night saying he had the idea to do a slow burn remake of Dionne Warwick's House Is Not a Home. Next thing I knew, Frankie Crocker was pumping it on WBLS along with Never Too Much. Being nominated several times for Grammys and not winning, he called me and said, come with me to the Grammys, I'm not gonna win anyway. I went with him and he won his first Grammy for Here and Now. Again, years later, he called me up late one night and told me to take a ride with him because he wanted to play a demo for me. It was Dance with My Father. It was so frighteningly beautiful and personal, it took my breath away. I cried. He wondered if people were ready to hear this. I assured him, you're Luther and the people are always gonna listen. He was wise, loyal to family and friends, always generous, tough but fair, and expected everyone's best because he always gave his best. In fact, he showed up to every single rehearsal and sound check while touring. His goal to be recognized as one of the premier vocalists of all times. So this is the last thing. Nearly 10 years after his passing, his music still graces the airwaves every day. People are still excited, still mesmerized, still moved on a gut level. What better honor than a Hollywood star to induct him amongst the greatest entertainers of history, the Joan Crawfords, the Clark Gables, the Aretha Franklins, the Duke Ellingtons, for generations to come. So listen, y'all please put your hands together in a round of applause for my friend Luther Vandross. Come on, y'all. Hey, 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 it's a proud day. Luther, we love you, man.
And let's unveil the star. So come on down. Ladies and gentlemen, we proudly welcome to the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Luther Vandross.
Everybody look straight ahead, right in the center, please. Straight in the center. On your right? Over to your left, please. Back in the center. Over to your right, please.
Lower your hand. Sorry.
Back in the center, please. Okay. So I'm going to have the speaker stay, Fonzie and Sabina stay.
So Anna,
Let's
do we have that 5-shot right there?
Yes, that's what we're going to do. Okay, straight ahead, everybody, right in the middle.
So Davis right here, good second. Put the state camera right here. You guys right here? Good. And next in, please, right here. And guys on this side, please.
I'm going to bring Johnny.
Give me some love right here, guys. Give me some love right here, guys.
Give us some love over here.
Right here.
And right down here, front, please. Great. And then right down here, front here, please. And now everybody to your left. To your left, please.
That's right, Paris.
Everybody blow me a kiss on 3. 1, 2, 3, go.
That's right. Make sure I don't look back.
Can you wait for the fans? Johnny, everyone.
Look at him first, please, right down here. 1 second.
Sorry?
Move the picture up. So maybe if they hold it. Maybe if they actually hold it.
No, just the picture itself. If they hold it.
Can they hold the picture? They can put the picture in their hand.
Hold it without the ground. Can you turn it so it's not in the shade? Yeah, a little more. Yeah, perfect.
To your left. And then one down here on the right, please. And one down here, guys. One down here. And guys, right next to him. Down here on the right. Right down here.
And straight ahead.
Right, please.
Right here. Nice and tighter together.
You guys, I go here to the left.
And then we'll bring Fonzie back. And right here. And that was on your right.
And right here to me, please.
On the right, sweetheart. On the right.
Right here, beautiful.
Can you hold up the picture? Look straight at
Guys, right down here, please. Don't do that. And right here for me, please. Right here for me, please. Right here, Savita. Savita, right here for me, please. All right, whenever you get a chance, there you go. Thank you so right next to him now, please. Right here, please.
And right here, yes. Upstairs. Look up a little bit, please. Okay, good.
Savita, you also face Joyce as well?
Savita, right here.
Savita, right here. Savita, upstairs, upstairs.
Right here, sir. Thank you so much.
For Luther, right here for Luther.
And right down here on the ground, please. You guys family camera?
Yeah.
Stay with me.
Okay, we ready, everybody?
Squeeze tight, guys, squeeze tight.
Okay, everybody straight ahead.
One more, ladies, one more. Family cam, family cam. Just have to come in the middle. Come in the middle, Troy. The ladies freestyle.
Okay, everybody straight ahead.
Ladies, look down, right there, look down.
This is my sister Venetia, my sister Paris, and my baby sister Clarice. And you know, as a family, we just think that it is awesome. I mean, absolutely, it's a great recognition, and you know, when you work hard, and he worked really hard. I mean, Fonzie was right. He went to rehearsals, every rehearsal and sound check, because he wanted it to be good. He believed, even before he became famous, he rehearsed when there were no shows, because you have to rehearse to be good. He set a standard in the music industry now that is not being met. So the fact that they gave him a star that will immortalize the energy that he put into his music and what he wanted people to get from it is amazing. So we can't be more grateful for this than that. So we just want to say thank you. It's a great honor. Thank you. Thank you.